Hello and welcome back to our beginner guitar lesson course. My name is Brian, and if you are following along in our course, we are going to learn a few more chords. If you're just joining us on YouTube and you'd like to learn how to play guitar sort of from beginning, having never played a guitar to playing some full songs, click on the video below and it will take you to worshiptutorials.com, and you can sign up for this course completely free, and it'll track your progress, and you can just follow along with us. So let's get started. In our last lesson, we learned how to play our very first chord, which was a D major chord. So today, we're going to learn three more. So the first thing you're going to want to do before you get going in this lesson is to tune your guitar. If you don't know how to do that, refer to our How to Tune Your Guitar video. That is a few lessons back, and let's get started. So the last one we learned was D major. Today I'm going to show you the G chord, the C chord, and the E minor chord. Now before we get started, I'm just going to let you know that I'm going to show you actually two ways to play each of these chords. The first way I'm going to show you uses 4 fingers for each chord, and you might not think that sounds very easy, but I actually think it's the easier way to play these chords. And they're not the traditional G major and C major and E minor. They're sort of variations of those chords that I feel sound really good when you're playing any song in the key of G. When I play in the key of G, these are the chord shapes I use 99% of the time. So let's start with our G chord. You're going to take your second finger, put it on the low E string, 3rd fret. You take your first finger, put it on the A string, 2nd fret. You take your third finger, your ring finger, place it on the B string, 3rd fret. And your fourth finger, pinky finger, high E string, 3rd fret. Almost said fourth. Fourth finger, 3rd fret of the high E string. Okay, I'm going to give you a close-up view of my hand, and I'm going to place my fingers again where they go, and you can see the chord diagram. And if that is confusing to you, the chord diagram, check out the last lesson, the key of D, or the D major chord lesson, and we go over the chord diagram there in detail. Okay, so here's a close-up shot. Again, your second finger, middle finger, goes on the low E string, 3rd fret. Your first finger goes on the A string, 2nd fret. Your third finger goes on the B string, 3rd fret. And your fourth finger goes on the high E string, 3rd fret. All right, and when you play the chord, it sounds like this. And the two middle strings, the D and the G string, you let those ring open. All right, now before you take your hand off your guitar, if you already did, go ahead and pause the video, put your hand back onto the G chord shape. The next chord we're going to do is the C chord. There's the diagram for you. So the easiest way to play this chord is to just come from your G shape and leave these two fingers where they are. And now we're going to move these two fingers down one string. So your third finger is going to go to the A string. Your second finger is going to the A string, 3rd fret, and your first finger is going to the D string, 2nd fret, and you mute the low E. So that is our C chord shape. Okay, I'll give you a close-up and I'll just kind of build it from scratch so you can see what to do. All right, so your second finger, I keep wanting to say third finger, second finger goes on the A string, 3rd fret. Your first finger goes on the D string, 2nd fret, and your third finger on the B string, 3rd fret, fourth finger on the E string, high E string, 3rd fret. Mute the low E, and this is what it sounds like. You let the G string ring open. Okay? That is your C chord. The root note is this A string, 3rd fret. That's the root of the C chord. That's a C. Back to the G chord, the root note is the low E string, 3rd fret. That's a G. There's also an open G. Okay, so that is G and C. The next chord we want to play is E minor. So if you're playing your C, just keep your third and fourth fingers where they were and move your first finger down to the A string, 2nd fret, and your 2nd finger goes to the D string, 2nd fret. And you let the low E ring open. Okay? Now you might notice something, that these two fingers are sort of crammed right next to one another on the same fret. And it's really hard to get both fingers to go right. Remember, I taught you in the last lesson that you want your fingers to go right behind the fret as close as you can. You might notice if I take all my fingers away and just leave my first finger up, my finger's like right in the middle in between those two frets. And that's fine. So you want it to be up here ideally, but when I played that chord, it was right here. Because I had to leave room for my 2nd finger to get in there and get right behind the fret on the D string. And that's okay. You just want to make sure that you press down hard enough that that string rings out. You don't want to press too hard. You want to work on pressing just hard enough that the string rings out. And then your other fingers go up here. So I'll give you a close-up shot and I'll build this chord for you. So your first finger goes on the A string, 2nd fret. Your 2nd finger goes on the D string, 2nd fret. And then your 3rd and 4th finger, they've been here the whole time really. They go on the B and the E string, 3rd fret. And that is the E minor chord. Now I said I was going to show you different variations of these chords. This is actually not an E minor. It's an E minor with other notes, particularly these two, added into it. And I think it sounds great when you play songs in the key of G. Plus it's easier to move around, so you go from G to C to E minor. And these two fingers never ever left their spot on the fretboard. And then if you go to a D, this finger never ever left. So if you notice, we can play a G. Watch this finger, it never moves. We can play a C. We can play an E minor. We can play a D. All the other fingers move, except for this one. Okay? So the other way that you can play these chords, and this would be the G major chord, the C major chord, and the E minor chord. I'm going to show them to you quickly, and they go like this. For the G, you take your 3rd finger and you put it on the low E string, 3rd fret. Your 2nd finger goes on the A string, 2nd fret. And your pinky finger, your 4th finger, has to stretch way down to the high E string, 3rd fret, and you let all the other strings ring open. And it sounds like this. You may notice the difference between these two variations. It goes like this and this. So the only difference is this note right here. So this is your G major chord. This is the G major version that I like to play. Okay, for the C major chord, if you go back to the way you played the G, just like how we moved these two fingers down for the C major, you kind of do exactly the same thing. You take these two fingers and you move them down. So your 3rd finger goes on the A string, 3rd fret. Your 2nd finger goes on the D string, 2nd fret. And then you take your 1st finger and put it up on the B string, 1st fret. Again, you mute the low E, and it sounds like this. So that's your C major chord. Now the other way you play E minor is actually the easiest of all of these chords, and that is take your 2nd finger, place it on the A string, 2nd fret, take your 3rd finger, place it on the D string, 2nd fret. And ring them out. All the strings ring open on this one. So that's it. Those are the chords G, C, and E minor. If you head to worshiptutorials.com, just like for the key or for the D major chord, you can download full 8.5 by 11 print-off sheets of these chord diagrams, so you can kind of build a folder or a binder of the chords. Again, just like in our last lesson, I would suggest and recommend that you memorize these chords. Play them enough. You should practice them enough that you memorize them. And when you do practice, I'll say this again, said this in the last lesson, this is very common. If you say you're playing this G chord and it sounds kind of like this. like you're muting, like that string doesn't ring out, or kind of sounds like that. That's okay. Just keep practicing. Make sure that you work on posture and work on having your fingers only touch the strings that you want them to. And I know it might feel really frustrating at first because the strings are so close together, and it's so easy for your fingers to touch adjacent strings, but I promise you, just keep practicing, keep at it, and you'll find eventually that, oh, those chords, they clean up and they're gonna get nice and clean, and you're gonna hear all the strings. It's just a matter of practice. Don't worry now about switching between chords or anything like that. We're gonna talk about that soon when we start to talk about rhythm and strumming and that kind of thing. At this point, it's important that you build your library and your foundation of chords. So learn the G, learn the C, learn the E minor, and then keep working on the D. And in the next lesson, we're going to learn chords in the key of D, and you already know a few of them. I'm going to let that secret out already. Some of these chords are found in multiple keys, so once you kind of learn about 8 or 10 chords, you're going to know most of the chords you need to know to play songs. Okay, so I realized this was a lot of stuff to chew on in this lesson. 3 new chords and 2 different ways to play them. But I would, like I said, I would just kind of pick the ones that feel easiest to you. I mentioned that I prefer these variations, personally, when I play in the key of G. So maybe those are the ones that you focus on, but it's really a good idea to learn all of them. And once you get those down, come back for the next lesson, and we'll see you there. Bye.